Okay, the time is 6:33, so I will call the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, March 24th, 2025 to order. We do have a quorum. We are missing one member. Gretchen is not feeling well. So she won't be here tonight. And first we'll review the regular business meeting. Do the invocation. Kelly McAloon's going to do that when she gets here. Pledge and under ceremonial matters, we'll give out a proclamation for the month of the military child. That's sponsored by the Women's Auxiliary for the region. We've got the minutes. We'll do the approval of the agenda. We have the Summit Chase hearing. We'll come back to that real quick. Let's just hit the other things. The only other things on the agenda are under new business, just renewing the Certified City of Ethics designation and then the civility designation. I will ask, when I read the normal public hearing instructions to everyone, I'll let everybody know that I'll provide a few minute recess after that rezoning so that if people want to leave, just ask them to go ahead and exit the building so that we can finish up our last little stuff.
Since my dad's still in the hospital, if I cut out, then y'all okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Try not to upset him.
Well, I just remember how, I just remind him how gorgeous he used to be and vibrant, so.
Okay, so Summit Chase. Jason's going to go just over a little bit. We did just get a revised plan, on Wednesday or Thursday?
Correct, but we've been kind of talking about that one for a while too, based on the, kind of what happened with the planning commission. But just kind of give a brief overview. I'm pretty sure we all know where this one is at. It's on the remaining 9 holes in the amending area of the now defunct Summit Chase Country Club. It's approximately 95 acres. It's currently zoned RS30. They're requesting an RS5 modification. And the land use plan is being requested to be changed from parks and recreation to residential or density. The original plan that was turned in back in September did show 150 lots. Originally with the middle, I believe, with nothing in. After that, now we're talking about 125 lots, and the encumbered area, which is the tract that we've all come familiar with, that has covenants that restrict it to one lot, or one lot per parcel. I believe there's 2 parcels there, but anyways, comes up to about 11 acres in the middle there, or 30 lots. So originally it was 150 with nothing in there, then it was 150 with a 35-foot buffer that went to planning commission with the homes in there. Since that time, the Summit Chase Homeowners Association voted to extend or not lift the covenants on the property. So I say all that to say this. Here's our March 20th received plan, and it shows now the final count is 125 lots with the 11 acre encumbered area in the center, no houses on it, a 15-foot buffer, and a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet with ultimately 1.2 lots per acre, gross density, 29.1 acres of open space, only required to allow for 19. And then you can see the configuration. There's some open space areas that have been added at the end of the new road that was proposed north of Beaver Creek. And then you can see what you call the spines or the tentacles layout as the holes used to, and the homes are platted based on that, and then providing access. There's an emergency access being proposed on green turf with a Knox box, basically only used for emergency personnel as required by the fire marshal. With the biggest change from the original proposal, and something that's remained constant since the first revision, is the main drive traversing through the old amenity area and meeting up on Classic Drive, allowing for ingress, the majority of the egress or the everyday egress from left to right on Classic, one out to Rosebud and one out to 78. Outside of that, it's a low density residential land use. We've highlighted just inside of the staff report what we feel where it complies with the existing comprehensive plan. We've shown lot sizes graph, and this is based on 150 lots. We didn't redo this one, but I think it highlights, and none of them have gotten smaller. They're probably all around the average. You can see 10,000 square foot is the minimum, with the majority of them falling anywhere from 11, 12, and 13,000 square feet. So because we don't have RS10 zoning, typically roll it all the way back and then modify it to the size it actually is. So this would effectively be an RS10 development, with the majority of the lots being anywhere from 11 to 14,000 square feet, with several of them being able to be over 15,000 square feet. Site plan, we do have some water, the existing lakes, some other geologic features, some rocks, outcropping was the old golf course, and then they provided some conceptual building elevations. So these homes will be anywhere from what I understand from $450,000 to $750,000, depending on the time that they're built and the phase of the development. And outside of that, we recommended approval for the LUP and the rezoning, and your conditions. It should actually be March 20th. I'll fix it for you guys. Stamp receipt is different on the two documents, but the standard conditions ties it to the conditions of the site plan that's been submitted. It further defines the setbacks and lot size restrictions. It's just, again, so the expectations are clear and everybody knows what's being voted on. The driveways, this is part of the code, but we put it in here just so everybody knows. Emergency access point off of green turf is number 4. Number 5, and this is something we've noticed on these last few remaining green sites in Snellville, are mostly mirrored with rock, and blasting has become more of a required process in developing these parcels. What we found with dealing with Manor Lake and then ultimately Soleil, the other neighborhood that was approved that close to 4 units per acre on the other 9 holes, is that communication is key. While we can't, we're pre-exempted as far as regulation of when they can blast, we've asked that a condition be added that all blasting activities shall be done with the Georgia Blasting Standard Acts, which is a law regardless. We've required that a blasting notification plan be reviewed and approved by the Planning and Development Department. That should include signage, email, and any other notification deemed necessary, so communication during the process is withheld at the highest standard. Number 6 is no adult entertainment, and number 7 is no signs higher than 15 feet and larger than 225 square feet. These are the conditions that were originally proposed from the planning department. There are no conditions from the planning commission to pass up a vote of denial on the land use plan. Thus, there is no rezoning action taken from that in here. And this is where we're at right now. Any questions?
I have a question. I'll probably ask this too in the public meeting, but if we zone it to R5, there's nothing in the conditions that say that it's going to go up. the lot sizes are gonna go up. So if we zone this as R5 and this developer doesn't work out, but it's zoned R5.
It's again, everything we do is tied to this plan. Anything outside of, typically would be, what we call substantial deviation or whatever, term we use exactly. Anything where there would be less lots would be not require an approval. Anything where it's becoming less intense would not require an approval. Anything with more intensity, the addition of a street, even more than one extra lot, that's gonna require that the mayor and council come back and look at it, and even a new configuration. So if it doesn't look 98% like this, if the development goes gone, he can come back and do this per these conditions, but cannot deviate a very small amount from this setup and lot count, basically configuration. And we do that to make sure we don't get the bait and switch if we're pretty low.
Right. So but if we have it as R5 and this developer doesn't work out, so it's zoned R5, and then somebody wants to come in and build an R5, I mean,
This first condition protects you, looks like the property shall be developed in accordance with the conceptual rezoning site plan. And that's the one that Jason's talking about.
and we could fall back on, and that plan had lots that were much larger than R5.
Correct.
Of course,
What
yeah.
what he is saying is it's gotta comply with that
Exact plan.
plan, other than minor deviations that Jason's allowed to do, or it's gotta come before council.
Right, but I just wonder about the precedent that we approved it as R5, you know what I mean? And somebody could say, well, you approved it as R5, so.
Well, I mean, you could approve it at R15 and do variances and work its way backwards, but, we don't recommend that because it looks like you're taking stuff out.
They would basically have to come in and ask mayor and council to strike number one.
Or change the
Okay.
conditions is how it would work.
Okay,
Yeah, we'd have to change the conditions of the action.
and then we'd be fine to say, no, we won't do that. Unless
Actually,
you,
you didn't-
unless you bring us
It's
something
a whole,
that's.
it's a whole separate zoning process, so it's gotta come through planning commission and you all.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't kind of like setting a
No,
a
because you're
table
basically
that
approving
you gotta let it go.
a modified RS5. This modified.
Based on the
RS5.
site
It sets
plan.
no precedent for anything
Okay.
else except that project if you were approved.
Okay.
Jason, I have one question on.
Sure.
Condition number 4, putting a gate, and I assume that would mean improving the, what's now more like a cart path between those two properties. Is that something that's required by our code? Because I don't see that that's, unless the access itself is required.
Typically, the access requirements are driven by the fire marshal, and I believe the cutoff's at like 125 or something of that sort.
Alright.
So if you're above a certain amount, you have to have it for fire safety and ingress egress. If you're below, and I'm not sure what the exact number is, then it's not required. You could always condition it that it's only required if the fire marshal requires it. And then and only then, so you don't have that disruption to the north if you're worried about that as well. So you can condition it that way too, to basically let the fire marshal make that call. I'm pretty sure the applicant would love to avoid, building another road.
Yeah, well, and I would rather that the gate be in the development and not out at the circlet green turf.
Yeah,
'Cause
you could add whatever, yeah, as far as.
if this were to go forward.
Other questions about tonight? We do plan, even though we did get this latest revised plan late in the week, we do intend to go forward with the full public hearing tonight. So we'll hear from, and I plan to give 20 minutes. Should be 20 minutes for the applicant, 20 minutes for people in support, and then 20 minutes for opposition.
With condition 1,
And that should say the 20th, because we received the email and then it was stamped
So this-
separately. So stamped, received 20th, the other one is correct. That
this
is
one should be 320.
correct.
Is that, okay, should that not be referenced in condition 1?
Yes, yeah, Jason, you were gonna have to date it.
Because right now it's
He
not.
gave it to
Do you
me.
have the sheet? The
It will
single sheet?
be,
Oh,
You're talking
is
about
that the
this
one I
one?
just handed you?
Uh-huh,
that one's got
yeah.
the August
This
date.
one still has the August,
I'll clean
as
it
well
up
as
before we run up
oh,
there.
I wrote all my notes on it.
I'll wait you another one.
Okay.
Go back and forth.
But
There was- I
the
had-
dates are, it should be dated, instead of 8/15/24, it should be 3/18/25.
It's actually 320.
But you're saying
3/20.
3/20.
320 and
25.
321, received. Because it came in weird and then it got stamped differently than it normally.
Okay, so
Okay, so
under
you're
the word
revised.
revised, what?
There is no revision.
Okay.
Cut the revision out. I'll get you a clean sheet.
Okay,
Give me 5
great.
minutes. I apologize. The
Great.
word went
No.
crazy. It shut down like 6 times.
First, I thought it was my glasses.
Of course, because you were in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, of course, every time I need something.
That's for sure.
Mine's been acting really weird too.
I thought it was just me.
You're not, we're looking
No,
at,
I mean. the
320.
computers.
and the January 31st is only for comparison.
Correct.
Just FYI.
Correct.
We are not considering,
That's correct. That is
Okay.
not, the applicant submitted, of course, if they don't have the property in the middle unencumbered, that there's no, so when they come back and present what was, on the table at this point based on the pre-existing conditions of the site.
Yeah, I had asked Jason to print one of these for me, the old plan, or the
Right.
one with the covenants being released, and so I had them both in front of me, and so we just went ahead and got one for everybody.
and planning commission really did not consider any of that because the rejection of the LUP.
That's correct.
Okay, so they didn't.
Yeah,
lay down
no
some.
condition that
Okay.
that stuff is an inaction.
Now, this is a LUP and an RZ, do we have to have 2 motions, or do they go together?
Okay, you would only make 2 separate, so you would gonna, fail the.
Change the rule.
Normally we do them separately, we should do them together if you want, but if the LUP doesn't pass, then the rezoning doesn't get voted on at that point, right?
Okay.
That's right.
Doesn't- If you wanna keep it clean, you can keep them separate votes.
It's always alphabetical.
If you do them together, then it either passes or fails.
Right.
And we're probably safer if the LUP passes without the rezoning, then we have a change in the LUP and it makes it easier for something to come in, meeting that new LUP. So I would prefer that we do
You can do it either way.
it, if it's okay with the body.
To do it better, together.
To lean-
Together.
To tie the LUP.
Because just as you were concerned about condition 1, it keeps everything status quo if it were not to pass.
Is that what you were recommending? Or,
That's fine, that way, yeah. You can do them separately or together.
okay.
So we're gonna do it together.
Together.
Together forever. Okay,
You're welcome.
anything else on this? Did you wanna run through, you just maybe run through the things that we,
The landmines and.
yeah, the landmine, well, the things that we cannot really consider.
Yeah, so,
As far
me and
as your
Jason
time
talked
goes.
about this, I mean, it's y'all's position, you can consider what you want for zoning conditions, but I think the main thing is the blasting thing, so I'll speak on that. That is pretty much preempted by the state of Georgia, they regulate that. And the other factor that regulates that is the economics of it, I mean, the developer's not gonna spend millions of dollars getting the site ready if it's not ready. So those things, or 2 things are protecting the blasting. The other things are really in y'all's control to consider, and, I wouldn't like you all to only consider the blasting as a reason to approve or deny a rezoning, but all the other factors in this case are sort of in y'all's purview.
Anybody have any questions?
Just one question.
Yes.
Can we make that clear? That point about the blasting?
I will.
Oh, okay.
I'll make it clear when I read the condition or even, kind of hear the presentation, make sure to get it out.
If that's governed by the state, we don't control that, although we can make sure that they've got a communication plan in place.
We can push small stuff.
Yeah. Because that's what we learned out of the Gladstone Landing situation, is they started blasting without a proper communication going back and forth. They were communicating with somebody who was not communicating with the rest of the group. So it took a little bit to get that resolved, but once they did, at least people knew when it was coming.
Oh, real quick, they should be done with the Soleil blasting now, done.
Oh, thank God.
Last week it was the last blast, so it should be done over there. That's why we just started
Any correspondence? I met with a woman, Kim, on Friday. I'm not gonna try to pronounce her last name, but I will, email out to you. She's a member of a temple down around, I think it was Zora Road. And they're doing a New Year celebration on the weekend of April 19th. And they've got festivities going, like I think Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so they were just reaching out to the city, and I think they were gonna also reach out to some of the county commissioners to invite everybody down there. She said it's gotten bigger and bigger, and she said on Sunday morning especially, they do some kind of program and parade, and then they have a lot of vendors down there and things like that. So I will send I'll scan that in and send it out to everybody. Okay, city attorney's report. Discussion items, discussion about the Grove. Mayor Pro Tem.
It's been so long now. A month or so ago, we had a meeting with, the council was invited to at the Grove with the new homeowners association along with some of the management of the facility. And they brought a number of their concerns to us. I think they've since sent a report. I know I forwarded some of it via email. Sorry. Last weekend hasn't let me do my homework, but the main concerns are some of the activities that are going on in the parking deck and making sure that we raise police presence there. As one of our citizens has pointed out numerous times, the mirrors that we have in place, although a nice improvement, the residents over there feel that we need something much larger. There's particularly on the ground floor with the traffic from both the Tomlin, foot traffic from the Tomlin and foot traffic from the library. It's very dangerous as people speed through there. If they would really, some of the residents would like speed humps or speed breakers, but I don't know that that would be appropriate. But certainly making sure that we increase our signage. Was there anything else?
They did send a report,
Yeah.
Matt, and they've actually met with Matt too. He met with some of the leadership there, and then we also, Matt and I met with, and Mercy met with Kirk and Roger on Friday to go over a few things, and we talked about some of the issues in there and really getting better communication between Pendler, the owner, and then Gallery, the new property manager there, plus the city, and then Mid-City, and getting some good communication going there. Because there's been you know, there's several things that kind of overlap and whose responsibility is what. Yep, and so instead of residents or anyone else having to figure out or being told, oh, go talk to them or go talk to them, we'll just take it in here and then we'll direct it to where it needs to go. And we did talk about the dumpsters too, and they're still.
My favorite.
Yes, yes, still. And according to Roger, they do have a concierge trash service, so they don't know. And they're thinking that some of that is not necessarily residents.
It's coming off from off.
So they're trying to figure that.
Okay. I know.
But they're as frustrated as we are.
One of the issues is that was brought up was dog walking stations, dog poop stations on the Oak Road facing section, and also over by the two commercial buildings with residential above. And maybe it's just a matter of they need better signage so they know where they are, or communication to the residents, because.
And people willing to use them.
Well,
That's
the
the issue that I will say.
yeah, well, one of the residents set her own out, tried to hide it in the bushes, and of course, we don't allow that, so they keep seeing, we would go by and take her little trash can full of dog waste, which I'm sure whoever did that, thank you very much, I know you enjoyed it. So just those minor things, and I know you may have some, did you announce last meeting that we had a person to handle?
Yeah,
much
down
more?
yeah. She's moving out of state, so she's got to get
Right.
situated here. But just in response to a few of those things, so the police are patrolling the deck, every day, I think twice a day.
Twice a day with marked cars, but we're also sending unmarked cars.
So hopefully that down with there. We're getting a price for a new headache bar. People keep knocking down the one that's there. So really putting mirrors. We had kind of those 360 mirrors, and until we did that headache bar, it's really helpful to put those back up. Knock down there. And then one of the things that was brought up was really needed to get input from everybody on was kind of surveillance cameras. We have surveillance cameras in the parking deck. But if there was a discussion or desire to have them where they're actually facing the green or so the public space, that's a discussion we all need to have at this level. That's something that the council would like. That's what we look into, staff look into, their, we need to have that.
That was in the original plan, it may have been value engineered out, so maybe we can red speed it back in or something. That would be awesome.
Should say reds.
Well, 'cause there's kind of a red shirt at Gmail. But it's definitely needed and warranted. One thing that came to mind was, I know there was a security officer that one of our officers lives there in his car, he parks on whatever floor. It would be really awesome if one of those parking spaces that's very visible, right there near the elevator tower, either in the deck or one of those that's not handicap parking by the library, if that was designated for a police vehicle, and we could either have a security officer there or just have a better show of the force there, because there is never a time that I've been in that deck that it has not smelled of weed. And I'm sure an empty police car will stop that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we had it would have to be, we'd have to keep the car there. Because of space.
Yes, I don't want to say we just park one of our reserve cars there, because that'd be public.
Yeah, I was just saying, if the space is empty, it could actually lead to people thinking, okay, I can do whatever I want now because the police aren't. As opposed to, because I think about that when I go by the schools, where they have a dedicated police parking spot,
Right.
and when there's not a police car there,
They're unmarked cars, man.
you think you can go in and do whatever you want. So that would be my only concern about designating a spot for that, would be that aspect.
The other issue, coming back to me now, how lucky, was when the mail truck comes, she parks right in front of the door, and blocks the path through to the deck. And so maybe we have a space for police and mail, does that make sense? But
Well, but that's,
I
that
know.
too is up to gallery to.
hey, I'm just passing along what they.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah, but not her, that too. So
Okay, I was pretty sure, but
Yeah.
my job is just to make sure they get hurt, so.
So just to clarify, does the council want staff to look at cameras?
Yes,
They're asking us to do.
Yeah.
yes.
That
I
it?
hope so.
Okay. Ongoing projects?
Before we move on, the May
Yes.
12th meeting? Oh,
Yes.
that-
You will not be here.
So just to run through this briefly, so I have just received this afternoon the most recent update from Cricket Camp. I'll send you all pictures and things, but they installed tiles in the bathrooms and the walls, finishing the drywall. They're getting ready to paint, so it's starting to come together for them. They're still kind of targeting a late June opening, so they're moving along. Parkside District is working on their plumbing right now, cover that back up inside the building, so we'll start seeing probably more activity around that as they do that. And then Grove Pottery is close to permits, I will say. They've submitted their final construction drawings for our review, and that's kind of the last final review before they receive their building permits and things to be working there, so.
Now, do we know potential open date for those two yet, or is it late June? No
I would say
idea.
Parkside's probably July and top.
Okay, so after, we're trying to figure out with
Yeah.
the Juneteenth activities, if the restaurants will be open, or if that's gonna affect our vendors.
I would guess
So
no.
I would say-
Okay.
I would not plan on it.
Okay, so more food, bring in more food, good deal, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, to your question, Christie, I think Crooked Can's Brewery might be open, but I think they want to open with some of the stalls open
Right.
too. I don't think they just want the brewery to be
Okay.
the first thing that is open to the public.
Great.
So, and then sidewalk improvements, so the contractor's just addressing some of the punch list items there.
Do you know how much longer before all the cones are out on the houses?
They may not be this for punch list stuff, but all that's good. So city business cleanup beautification, so recycling program registration's ongoing. I heard from Public Works that it's, the website's working well, the postcards are working well, so that's good. The next item, so mayor and council input on development zoning guidelines. This comes from our planning department, but staff is requesting some input on special event permits. I'm gonna let Jason kind of give you a little bit of background on that request.
Okay. Long story short, right now, the way our special events are set up for parking lot events, any kind of temporary special event where they're drawing people in to participate in whatever it may be, there's a few different types. We have ones for civic, institutional, and residential, which are typically run by the churches and the nonprofits, your pumpkin sales, stuff like that, fall festivals that they may do, and it's a pretty easy process. However, everything left in a commercial environment, we've, in the past, we've had a strict policy outside of fireworks and seasonal goods that whatever they're peddling in the parking lot has to be something from inside the store, a service, it could be hair cutting, it could be anything, and then you could have something around that, whether it's like a food truck or something, but it has to focus around the product that you're offering. And then again, and that's the concern is somebody just pops like a party in the middle of the parking lot or something that's totally not related to the business, and it kind of proliferates. Well, we've had recently in the past, we've had more requests for different kind of events, like the business expo, a creative element to it. And it specifically had a request in New London, which is being requested by a totally separate company, but they're being sponsored by one of the businesses there. And it doesn't seem like a bad idea, but there'll be a stage, there'll be a concert, stuff like that. It's not really related to the business, so I just want to get a temperature on, are we okay with the old code, or do we want to be more open to allowing like a car show? Right now, we would not allow on a private property like that if they were to ask for a permit. A lot of times when it's small, they just do it and everything goes about their business, it's no big deal. But as they grow or it becomes like an annual thing, it just has the potential to get bigger, bigger, bigger. Just want to make sure we're okay where we're at, or if you want to open it up a little bit and allow more diverse uses that aren't necessarily peddling the same goods that they may have or services, but is more of a, it's kind of gonna need to know if we're good. We're okay to tell these people, hey, you don't fit the code, this is what you can do, and, you know, move on, or you want us to, you know, investigate, or you're willing to open it up a little bit, and that's something for you guys to consider. Obviously, we're okay. Either way, we just need to know how to regulate legislation. So you can chew on it a little bit. The next one is, I think these are all in June, so we have plenty of time, but it's becoming more and more of a request, not one that we can just say, sorry, no, it's something we need to make sure everybody's on board with, something's changing.
My big concern would be that if somebody brings in an outside business line from what their storefront is, they're bringing in competition to other people who may have stores in the city of Snellville. And I don't want to.
What about other events associated with said business, like a car show, to draw people in? Is that, even if it's like an art business, do you have an issue like that? We're more concerned about specifically when it's adjacent to residential stuff that would promote, you know, louder environments over a longer time. Those were the concerns. There's several places where that happens, and most of Snellville's commercial, usually right next to some residential, not always. And New London is an example where there's not really any residential around, but just wanted to make sure that, you know, everybody was okay with any kind of change. But if it's the event, the size, we can regulate that. Type, it's just, we want to sell, we put that in there because people were selling cat houses at Chevron, remember?
Right.
Couches, like just rolling up, and then that was like our, boom,
Right.
stop
And
this.
the carpets and the
All that, and
artwork.
it stopped.
Right,
And there are
they don't have business license or permits.
Now, here's another option, John and I were talking about, it's something that's on the cusp, but that we might see it has value to the community, and it can be legislated and regulated. And, you know, you can have this really quick process where you guys approve them, whether it's in a hearing format, whether it's, you know, we send out the application, however it works. Then we give you a little more skin in the game to decide, you know, this is intrusive or it's not. Gives you a little more flexibility to approve the ones you want and deny the ones you're worried about. So that's where we can go from, here's the standards, to we'll look at it based on these things. So that's kind of the range of options you have. I have to answer right away, but just thought I'd bring it up because we're getting more and more of the larger scale stuff. And I'll actually send you the email with the request on the latest one so you can understand the scope of it and kind of see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, that would be
And
great.
understand what I'm asking a little bit.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I'd like for Jay to give us his opinion on them, because I can see issues with us being a body approving those kind of permits. That gets rather subjective.
Yeah.
Right, so package sales of BJ on that. Briscoe Parks, we had a pre-con meeting, construction will begin May 5th. So,
Of this year?
Do we have an event planned?
so I was gonna ask you, would you want to do like a
Yes.
groundbreaking?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
We need.
Well, I'm just asking, I mean, if you want to do that, then
Oh,
just get on.
Evidently, May 12th would be the perfect time.
Absolutely can.
We'll work on
Valued
it.
member of this board.
We'll work on putting something together.
Could do it over the week.
You can zoom in, it's just the same.
Right. Yeah, I remember that being.
And just on that front, so Congress did, pass a final continuing resolution, and our funds from Representative McBath's office, all commercial rec spending was taken out of that.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
$3 million.
I thought
Come on, steak.
North and Wisteria, so we are having a pre-con meeting with the contractor on that road this Friday, and they'll be mobilizing on Monday, so a week from today. And we'll be starting some of their light work. We're working on a communication piece to get out to folks and button up. We've got a few more easements here right away. We feel like we're in a good position to at least get them started.
And we are, still talking with the county, on the sewer improvements, and things are going pretty favorably there.
Right.
And I'll let you all know this, since the project email, I didn't put it in this update, because it's still pretty nascent, but the county is about 70% complete plans for the roundabout up in Mountain View there. They'll probably start right-of-way acquisition in the summer, and maybe construction next year. I listened to some of their technical folks talk, and there's things to consider down there. So pretty interesting utility challenges. So please don't go to broadcast, and they're starting next year. There's still some things they're going to start right-of-way acquisition.
Whatever DOT tells you, just kind of do it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd asked, emailed Lewis Cooksey, because I'd gotten 2 emails like on the same day, because I guess there had been a serious accident, there, and so they asked me, can we do this quicker? So I emailed him to see where it was, and he gave me a brief. I just gave him the brief rundown, that runway acquisitions expected in the summer, and construction to start after that, maybe next year.
And
And then apparently there was another bad accident.
in the past, it's on the periphery of the city, but in the past, Mayor and I had talked to Lewis Cooksey about the roundabout at Ridgedale and Fars, and
Ridgedale and Pinehurst.
Pinehurst, I'm sorry. And, yeah, we like the one at
Yeah.
Ridgedale and Fars, and we said, because of that, we would like one at the other intersection. And someone had pulled permits and was beginning construction there, so I passed on to Lewis and Transportation that the right-of-way may be encumbered, and they need to look at the building plans there, plus the driveway that they are temporarily putting is way too close to the intersection. If that becomes a roundabout, it's going to be a big issue. So, heard back from one of the Jerry Overholters that they will get on it and hopefully make it where that construction doesn't rule out that improvement there. And then community interest, not really City of Snellville, the roundabout on Grayson Parkway that the state put in. You may have noticed somebody's built 3 new houses right there, and they have their driveway cuts exceedingly close to the intersection. And that being a state road, I just asked them to look to make sure that state regulations have been met and that the proper permits have been pulled, because right now the driveway is right where the sidewalk cut is, which is.
And the 2 mailboxes, you're coming out of the roundabout, and post office
So
is gonna be
it's
sitting
within
there.
10 feet of the outlet of the roundabout, and I know Gwinnett County probably wouldn't do that unless there's an existing house. So
But somebody had to approve this.
think.
Maybe. But I just gave them the heads up because they hadn't poured concrete on that last
Yeah.
driveway. So if it comes up, because people bring those kind of things to my attention. So I'm like, yeah,
Okay,
that's all.
that's it. All right, with that, we don't have an executive session tonight, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? Anyone? Second, all in favor? This meeting is adjourned.